Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're tackling one of history's absolute greatest mysteries. How was the Great Pyramid of Giza actually built? I mean, it's a marvel of engineering so precise it seems almost impossible. But, ancient clues are starting to reveal the incredibly clever secrets behind how they did it.
All right, let's start with something super intriguing, a modern-day discovery. Not too long ago, a little robot explored a hidden shaft deep inside the pyramid, and it came face to face with a sealed stone door, a door that's been shut for thousands of years. So what was behind it? Well, while that discovery is still being debated, understanding what we do know about how this thing was built, that's really the key to unlocking its final secrets.
To even begin to understand how they did this, you first have to grasp the sheer, mind-boggling scale of the project. We are talking about 6 million tons of stone. Let that sink in for a second. 6 million tons.
And if you're trying to picture what that means, well, that's the weight of 12 Burj Khalifas, the tallest building on Earth right now. So that staggering weight is the absolute core of the puzzle. How on earth did an ancient society with no steel and no modern machinery create something that literally outweighs our tallest skyscrapers today? All right, so let's really dive into this section, an impossible structure. We're going to break down the mind-boggling scale of the Great Pyramid. Because, see, this wasn't just about building something big. It was about building with a level of precision that just seems, well, completely impossible for its time.
I mean, just look at these numbers. Every single one of these represents an insane engineering challenge. We're talking 480 feet high, a base that could fit 9 football fields, 2.3 million stones, and some of those stones weighed 50 tons each. So how do you stack all that and, on top of everything, make sure the sides maintain a perfect 51.5-degree angle all the way to the top? It's just incredible.
Okay, so this brings us to their very first major hurdle, finding true north. Think about it. How did they get this massive structure perfectly aligned to the cardinal directions, north, south, east, and west, with almost zero error? They didn't have a compass, so how'd they pull that off?
Well, the solution wasn't in a tool they could hold. It was up in the sky. With absolutely no magnetic compasses to guide them, the architects looked to the only reliable map they had, the stars. And this just goes to show you their incredible mastery of astronomy. By using the fixed position of the polar stars in the night sky, they could mark out true north, south, east, and west with practically zero error. It was brilliant. They established a perfect true north, which allowed them to lay out the entire foundation with an accuracy that is just mind-blowing even now. All right, next up, perfecting the foundation. So with the orientation set, the next massive challenge was creating a perfectly flat and level base for a 6 million ton structure to sit on forever. I mean, you can imagine, any mistake here and the whole pyramid could collapse. So the question is, how do you level a massive area without lasers or any modern survey equipment? Again, the solution wasn't high-tech, it was just pure genius. The builders used this incredibly clever, totally low-tech method to get a foundation that was level to within just a few inches across all 13 acres.
So a leading theory is that they basically used this simple physics of water. Check this out. They dig a network of trenches all around the site, then fill them with water. Since water always finds its own level, that water line became their perfect guide. They'd mark it, and then all they had to do was chisel away everything above that line. It's such a brilliant, low-tech solution for a super high-precision problem. Okay, so let's get into the next phase, the Great Stone Convoy. This is all about the colossal logistics of quarrying, shaping, and moving 2.3 million stones from the quarry all the way to the construction site. And believe me, this is where the challenge becomes truly monumental. So how do you cut millions of limestone blocks without any steel tools? This was a major problem. The Egyptians only had relatively soft copper tools, which aren't great for cutting stone. So how'd they do it? Well, the answer lies in a simple but pretty brilliant innovation.
Turns out they didn't use pure copper. Instead, they figured out how to create a harder alloy, a kind of early bronze, by adding arsenic to the copper. This one small chemical change was a total game changer. It was just enough to produce chisels that could, with a whole lot of manpower, carve their way through stone.
Now, shaping the stones was one thing, but moving them from a quarry 250 kilometers away, that was a whole different challenge. I mean, we're talking about blocks weighing as much as 3 passenger buses, and they had to move
thousands of them over a huge distance. This required an absolutely incredible supply chain. So the stones were quarried hundreds of kilometers away, then they were somehow loaded onto massive boats and floated all the way down the Nile. Once they arrived at Giza, literal armies of workers would then drag these massive blocks up ramps to the construction site. It was a masterpiece of ancient project management, for sure. But inside the pyramid, in the king's chamber, the builders used a stone far, far harder than limestone: granite. And this was their greatest challenge yet. Because those special arsenical copper chisels we talked about, yeah, they were completely useless against granite.
This sounds completely impossible, doesn't it? They cut granite, a stone that's nearly as hard as diamond, with a saw that had no teeth. I mean, how can a soft metal saw with no teeth cut one of the hardest stones on the planet? Well, the answer reveals one of their most ingenious and frankly mind-bending secrets. Their solution was just genius. It's called abrasive sawing. The soft copper saw wasn't the cutting tool itself. It was basically just a blade to guide an abrasive like wet sand. The constant friction of that sand is what slowly, painstakingly ground its way through the solid granite. It would have been incredibly slow work, but it got the job done.
So even with all these amazing things we figured out, the pyramid still holds deep mysteries. And this brings us right back to where we started. That robot camera staring at that mysterious sealed stone door. So we're still left with these huge, enduring mysteries. What was its true purpose? Exactly how many thousands of workers were involved? And of course, what exactly did that robot see? Well, it actually revealed another sealed block and a small empty chamber. So no, it wasn't some big treasure room, but it was another piece of this giant puzzle. And that discovery just deepens the mystery and reminds us that the pyramid has not given up all its secrets just yet.
Ultimately, the story of the pyramid isn't just about stone and sand. It's really a testament to human ingenuity. When they were faced with these seemingly impossible challenges, the ancient Egyptians didn't have better tools. They just had better ideas. They proved that with enough creativity, humans can make the impossible possible.
And this leaves us with one final thought to chew on. The builders of the pyramids mobilized an entire society to achieve a single monumental goal. So what marvels are we truly capable of creating right now if we could just work together with that same incredible sense of purpose and ingenuity?